You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's get into specifics just a little bit before we get out of here and talk about what we need to be watching for in this game. There's 3 bullet points, in my opinion, that will carry the day for the Rebels. This looks like a big game for running the ball with Kewan Lacy. Just run the football. I think Washington State's giving up 150 yards per game running the football, but it's pretty consistent about the way that it looks. If you look at game by game on their rushing ability, they gave up 33 yards to Idaho, but then it's 133, 247, 290. It's receiving, sorry. Rushing is they gave up 188 to Idaho, 82 to San Diego State, 163 to Washington, or North Texas, 173 to Washington, and 146 to Colorado State. This is a game that is tailor-made for a rushing quarterback and, of course, Kewan Lacy. And number 2 is when the ball is thrown to you by a Washington State quarterback, catch it. Wazzu puts the ball at risk this season because they have to, because they struggle running the football, because defensively they can be leaky at times. They have to take chances to push the ball down the field. Whenever that happens, interceptions happens. Remember, 5 of those turnovers came against North Texas in one game. They ended up with 4 interceptions currently, something like that. I think they have 4 interceptions. Let me just look at that real quick. 5 interceptions. Jackson Potter has 3. Zevi Eckhouse has 2. So 5 of them, and 4 fumbles also as well, for a total of 9. And they fumbled it 8 times on the year. So this feels like an opportunity to catch the ball when it's put in risk. They're going to have to play catch up. They're going to have to do some hero ball type stuff. Whenever that happens, make the catch. And do not, under any circumstance, give Washington State a short field. Make them drive to score 75 yards and allow Pete Golding's defense to be Pete Golding's defense. If you do these things, you should win it going away. Again, Ole Miss is a 33.5-point favorite. They should win the game somewhere in the ballpark of 50-10, something like that, and get ready to play the Georgia Bulldogs next week. This is a big game for timing. We talked with Bill Flowers over the course of last week when he mentioned that players hate bye weeks. They hate it. The LSU game in 2003 was a bye week, and there was like a rhythm issue at the beginning of the game. And by the time they got it fixed, there was like 1 quarter left to go. This Washington State game gives you a chance to get right a little bit after the bye week, kind of handle out some of that stuff. So maybe you start off, there's a little bit of a slow start throwing the football. You need that running game to carry you with the Kewan Lacy type stuff. I talked about it and I mean it. I watched the highlights. They struggle on the edge. They genuinely do, to where you can run off tackle on them pretty consistently for explosive plays if you know how to do it. Pass rush wise, they get after you, and they can get after you on the defensive line. So it's going to be imperative that Ole Miss gets rid of the football, throwing the ball, and runs the ball on this defense and plays with tempo and gets them, a little bit tired. Now, one thing that'll be interesting, the only other time they played down in hot, humid conditions was against North Texas in Denton, Texas, which is a little bit less humid than coming down and playing in Oxford, Mississippi. Traveling cross country, the humidity, all of that stuff could end up being a factor in this game. So if they put the ball on the ground, catch it. That's all it is. Pick up the ball. Defense, make your explosive plays, and it's about time to get to the quarterback. But Washington State, by the way, does a pretty good job of protecting the pass. So they've only given up 8 sacks over the course of the year. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Anyway, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Google Ole Miss Podcast, and you'll see what we mean. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. And in another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local expert. It's a college football preview show that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.